What's up, my friends? Today is June the 7th, 2026, and 6 months ago, on my 27th birthday, I uploaded a video titled I Just Turned 27 and I'm Totally Checked Out of Society. And it got quite a few views. So this video is basically going to be a 6-month update on that, because since I posted that video, several things have changed in my life that have gradually made me feel a little bit less checked out. Not completely checked back in, but definitely like less checked out than I was before all of that. And I think the best way to describe all this is I'm still kind of checked out of a lot of the more fake aspects of life, like consumerism, the rat race, and cloud chasing on social media. But I'm checking back into what is real. So in the original video, I had this theme where I was talking about how I stopped partying, I stopped drinking, I stopped going out to clubs and chasing status and clout and all this other stuff that we kind of view as important when we are young. I also took a break from social media and stopped paying attention to all the hustle culture gurus online. And I stopped rushing towards all of these artificial milestones that we all feel like we have to hit by a certain time. So at that time, I was basically stripping my life down to what really mattered to me and just trying to figure out what I genuinely enjoyed behind all of the noise. So this update video is going to be the next chapter after that, because after you've stripped away all of the fake stuff, you kind of have to add real life back in. And even when you unplug from society, I feel like at some point you have to start building something real in the space that fake stuff used to occupy. So after I uploaded that video, for the remainder of December and probably going all the way until February, I was still kind of in like a low period. I wasn't really interacting with too many people. I was still just staying at home most of the time, just watching whatever movies I liked. I finished quite a few shows that I didn't think that I'd ever watch, but I also spent a lot of that time reading and revisiting a lot of books that I had previously read, but I hadn't really gone over the material for a while. I think one of them is Psycho-Cybernetics. I read that 3 years ago, and during this time I was reviewing that book, as well as some of the books by Joe Dispenza. If you haven't read these books, highly recommend them. Definitely S-tier books. But yeah, I'd say during those first 3 months, I was still kind of in my hermit arc, but I did start experimenting with a few things on my own. Like I was getting more into drone flying and drone photography. So I was going out and vlogging a few things, flying my drone around wilderness areas and just playing around with the footage on Final Cut Pro. I uploaded some of those clips to my second channel. I don't know if I ever advertised that here, but I do have a second channel that you can check out. It's mainly just a few films that I have shot and edited on my own. Kind of, it's nothing too serious. I'm just having fun with it. I also tried uploading a few videos to this channel, just giving my thoughts on a few things. But since I was still new to my job and kind of in a probationary period, I didn't want people to, I guess, get offended by anything I said and then somehow find my employer and they would fire me. I don't know. I got paranoid at the time, so I just decided it'd be best to stay quiet. But I think it was around April that I really started to feel like I needed to do something to get the momentum going. So I decided that I was going to study for my Part 107 remote pilot's license so that I can fly my drone a bit more professionally. I'm still not too sure what to do with it, but at least this kind of opens the door to other things in the future potentially. And that gave me something to kind of work towards, because I haven't taken an exam since I graduated college like 4 years ago. And so getting back into that mindset of studying for a particular subject and then just learning the ins and outs of that subject, taking a bunch of mock tests and quizzing myself constantly. It was fun to get back into. There's like a police car that keeps going by. I hope I'm not in trouble. And I think this is what really started the process of getting some positive momentum going, because sometimes when you're in this hibernation period of your life, it can feel like you need to solve all of your problems in your life. But a lot of the times that's not really the case. Sometimes you just need like one small lead that you can work towards, and then just that is going to get the ball rolling for everything else. And around this time also, one of my friends that I hang out with the most just broke up with his girlfriend of like 3 years. So both of us were kind of in this sort of mindset where we were like, okay, we should probably make something happen this summer. And when we really thought about it, we realized there's no reason why this summer can't be the best summer of our lives. So we made this friendly competition to see who could lean up the fastest. And so we both started eating a lot healthier. We stopped snacking on random things here and there. For the first 2 weeks, I didn't really see any progress. But after that, I started seeing my face slim down a lot more. And then I was losing pounds here and there. So, and eventually I started seeing the scale go down. So between studying for this exam and getting lean, I think this is what got the snowball effect going. Because once you start seeing evidence that your actions are working, that's when your self-image starts to change. At that point, your energy change and your mentality starts to change. I started being more social at work and going on a lot more adventures outside of work. I went to Catalina Island for the first time not too long ago, so I'll probably be uploading those clips onto my second channel. Also, in my previous video, I mentioned that I have a few online e-commerce side hustles that I do just to bring in some extra money. It's not too big or serious, but for a long time, I had felt like I had plateaued, so I wasn't really putting too much effort into it. Recently I've been experiencing potential expansion of that business. I've been seeing more opportunities come up. I've had people reach out to me to potentially grow the business a lot more. And I'm also learning about a lot of new AI tools that I could use to maybe take off a lot of workload that I'm doing. Of course, this might just be a coincidence, but I'm a big believer that when you get some positive momentum going, things in general will just start to shift because of your energy. When you change your mentality from being checked out and being kind of closed off to being a bit more open to whatever comes your way, you'll start to just see things show up in your life and also just notice more opportunities here and there. Saying that if you act as if everything is always working out for you, you'd be really surprised at what comes your way. Might be why some people who are generally more positive and cheerful, they seem to have all of these opportunities come their way, even when circumstances are tough for them. Now, of course, I'm not saying that we should pretend bad situations and bad circumstances don't exist. I'm not saying we should live in delusion, but there are definitely a lot of ways that you can acknowledge that things can be bad, but also without letting it completely define you. So yeah, it's really the last 2 months that I've had the most forward momentum, and honestly, my life just seems to work that way. I'll have many months or even years where nothing seems to be happening. Like I'll just live the same day for months and months, and then suddenly over the course of a very short period of time, it will be like years of progress seem to happen all at once, and that will sort of make up for all of the time that was spent doing things that were kind of the same. Now, obviously, this isn't to say that I've completely checked back into society, and I think this is where people get things wrong. It seems to be this false dichotomy where you're either completely checked into society or checked out. Either you're fully participating in the mainstream life script, or you're just a total loner who rejects everything and just self-isolates. In Japan, they call this a hikikomori. But I don't think those are the only two options. So on one hand, you have the total NPCs of society. These are people who literally cannot think for themselves. They live very unexamined lives. They just follow whatever the mainstream life script is. They just listen to whatever's on the mainstream media. If the government says, get your 17th booster, they'll just line up to get it. They worship whatever celebrity is trending. They post about whatever social cause is trending, and they participate in this psyop of partisan politics. And then they also buy whatever consumerist slop happens to be trending at the time. And on the other hand, you have people who see how absurd living like this is, but then they take an overly contrarian approach to it, where they will withdraw from society completely and become very nihilistic about how dystopian the world has become. And the thing is, these people tend to be a bit more intelligent. They tend to have better critical thinking skills. And a lot of their observations about the world are not necessarily wrong. The job market is fucked. Yes, a lot of the economy is fake and designed to extract as much money from you as possible. Yes, most influencers are vapid grifters and scammers. Yes, most of our entertainment is just bread and circuses designed to keep people distracted. And yes, we're ruled over by a bunch of demonic elites. Like, yeah, all of that is true and valid. But I think the difference is that still allowing some of that to box you in to a corner and define how you feel about the world is still in some way conforming to the pattern of this fake and fallen world. You're still letting yourself be defined by it, just in a different way than the NPCs who are just bought into everything. In the Bible, there's a quote from Romans that is basically like, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I think a lot of people get this verse wrong because they think this to mean that, oh, I shouldn't conform to the pattern of this world. That means to withdraw from the world completely. But they're mistaking participation with conformity, because Jesus still socialized and broke bread with people, even though he wasn't really conforming to the pattern of the world around him at the time. He was still present and engaging in life. So there's this third position beyond being an NPC or a hikikomori. And no, I want to make it clear that this is not a middle ground. This is a third position, which is the renewing of your mind. I think to really get at this, you have to ask yourself, am I climbing this mountain so I can see the world, or so the world can see me? Because it's only when you stop living for other people that you can actually get close to self-actualization. You can be an entrepreneur online without being some grifter or scammer. You can participate in life without being owned by the world around you. So a good example I like to think about is fitness, because even though the fitness space is saturated with all of these fake gurus and scammers, that doesn't necessarily mean that the right answer is to reject exercise and taking care of your body. And similarly, just because being checked in can seem fake and performative, that doesn't mean that the answer is to completely check out of everything and then develop this ego where you think that you're more enlightened than everyone around you, because that can quickly turn into a cope as well. It's totally possible to recognize that we live in this world where most things are fake, but you can still choose to participate in creating moments of genuine warmth and connection with other people. And once you break away from this false dichotomy, you allow for the possibility of realness to come into your life. And just a simple act of allowing that possibility is what creates room for you to start actually experiencing those things. Because the most important thing is that what you focus on expands. So anyway, that was my 6-month update following the video I originally uploaded on my birthday. I'm really excited to see what the next 6 months are going to bring, and I've thought about uploading more to this channel, mostly just discussing thoughts and reflections that are relevant to the world that we live in today. Can't say that I'm dead set on becoming a full-time YouTuber, because I kind of just do this for fun. So in the meantime, I'll be sharing some clips to my second channel. Like I said, I'll link it in the description below. You can definitely follow that if you're into occasional vlogs, drone shots, and things of that sort. But yeah, if you resonated with what I've said in this video, if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. And with all that being said, I'll see you on the next one.